Hiya, welcome back to the channel. So today we are working on an E92 335D and we're doing the glow plugs and the glow plug module. But first, before I can access any of that, as you can see there's loads of shit in the way, which I'm going to have to take off. All this and 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 this. Everything's going to have to come off. The engine's going to have to come out. So I'm not going to bore you with that because I've shown you that in another video. If you want to see how to do that badly, then just watch the swirl flaps video, which I did. So I'm going to take that off now. Brings us here. So now we can actually see that there is an engine before us. But we're not done yet. We've still got a lot more shit to take off. I've got to take this inlet manifold off, which on the face of it doesn't look too bad. We've got various 10mm bolts and nuts holding it to the engine. But we also have to take all the little bits and bobs off that are stuck to it, like the EGR valve. We've got to take this off, we've got to unplug this, we've got to take this off. There's a plug into that which needs taking off. There's some shit down there, there's a map sensor here that needs to come off now. It might be worth, before you start this job, is get a new grommet for your map sensor, because they do like to do that when you take them off. What else we've got to take off? We've got to take the dipstick is mounted to it. That needs to come off. And there is other stuff that I'm sure I've missed. Now I've undone all these bolts and what we can see, and them are 11mm, by the way, not 10mm. And they're stainless steel nuts as well, so it's dead good, nice at BMW to make them so they're not really magnetic for when you drop them. But we can feel that there is still stuff holding this in place. I mean, that stuff there for a start. So to try and get that disconnected, it feels like it's got a 10mm bolt holding the bracket on. Yes. Yes. So attempt removal again to see what's stopping us this time. And I do remember there's something to do with the swirl flaps underneath. Can't remember where it plugs in or anything. Yes. We have in fact got all this shite to unplug. Yes. Yeah. So there we have the inlet manifold removed, and what we've got to be really careful of is when we have this shitter out the way is make sure none of these have gone anywhere, because I'll tell you a story. It's a really boring story, but I'll tell you anyway. When I took the manifold off my 330D, there was one of those missing, and I thought, oh yeah, I must have dropped it. I thought I'll just be careful, I'll just check inside the ports, these ports and these ports, and it was in fact in number 6 of one of them, and the swirl flaps were already removed on my car and I hadn't dropped it It had been there for a very long time, was all chewed up. So I got really lucky that it didn't end up in the cylinders. So yeah, make sure you've got all of them when you take that shitter off. But now at least we can see what we're here to do. So I've got an heater plug module and the heater plugs. Now the heater plugs are here. I think I'll do them first. I'll try and do them first, because the engine's still got warmth in it, which might help. And if we look at the plug itself, I mean this one, the cap's took off the top of it so we can see it better, but there is two little doofers to squeeze in, and the same on this one. It's got the two little doofers there, and then it pulls off. Much better than the old design where they had little fucking wires holding them together with little nuts on them, which were always a pain in the dick. At least they just pull off now. But because of direct injection cars not actually needing them to run, not actually needing them to start, when they fail they usually just get left and then they seize in, so they don't get changed as often. So hopefully these ones won't be seized in. Right, so let's see what happens when we attempt to remove number one. That's moving, and they never feel nice, these things. It's got to be really gentle. Sometimes it's actually better to use a little impact gun gently on them. I'll try not to do that as we don't need to yet. It's turning so far. Yes. Yes. So as you can see, we have successfully moved one out of the 6 heat plugs, and this is the new one that we're going to put in. But before we put it in, right, the reason why they seize up is because they get carbon build up all around here, and that can seize into the head as well, but the carbon around there fucks everything up. So we have got this glow plug reaming tool, and the way this works is you put a bit of grease on there so that the carbon sticks to it. So now you've got your lubricant on, you lovingly insert this into there, and then you put the outer piece into the threads where the glow plug screws into, and that just centralises everything. Proper engineering and all that lot. And then you just carefully turn this round a little bit, you don't go mad with it, and that cuts away the carbon. When you unscrew this and pull this out, that is what you're left with, if you can even see it. So now the new heater plug should go in nicely. So now we are ready to install our new glow plug into number one, but first, now this is an argument for and against this all the time. Should you lubricate the threads when you're putting them in? Now it does screw up your torque settings, so if these, they will have a torque setting. I haven't got it to hand, but it will have a torque setting, and when you lubricate the threads on it, the torque setting will turn more and be tighter for the same torque setting, so it can screw things up a bit. But BMW said not to lubricate them, and I think the glow plug manufacturer said to lubricate them. Anyway, I've got some lubrication for them, and this is, if you look there, special grease for protecting injectors as well as spark plugs and glow plugs. So I'm just going to put a bit of that onto the thread. I'm not going to use loads, just that'll do. Then I'm just going to go ahead and install number one heater plug. As you can see, and then perfectly torque to spec. Not forgetting to plug it back in. So now I'm going to do the same thing for all 6 of them, which is not really, unless I'm into a problem or something interesting, I'll just skip past this bit. Right, so I've got 3 of them done without much of an issue, but this one is proving to be a bit of a twat. So it's seizing up and then going tight, and then I'm having to go a little bit at a time, backwards and forwards. And hopefully I will be able to get it out, because I'll cry if I can't. But if you do get this situation, then one of the tricks is just go backwards and forwards a tiny bit at a time. And the main thing is make sure that you keep the socket and the extension straight to the glow plug, so you're not twisting it at an angle, and don't put too much force on it. If it don't move when you're putting a little bit of force on it, then go back the other way and then go back again, and then it'll go a tiny bit more each time. Well, if it's working, it'll go a tiny bit more each time, and then this keeps on going a little bit more and then locking up, and now it's tight again. And then if it goes really free all of a sudden, like really free all of a sudden, then you've probably snapped it. This feels like it's behaving a bit better now. Yeah, it's going now. Yes. I didn't film it, but this is all the shit that came out on the reaming tool for that one. So that is probably what we're causing our issue. Click. So that is the last one installed and torqued to spec. So we have got 6 new glow plugs installed on our M57. So next we're going to tackle the heater glow plug module doofer, which is one of these. There's a part number if you're interested. A normal person would have bought one off the internet for about 130 quid or something. Well, this is my dad. So I bought it direct from BMW for about £9 million. So that's what we've got to install, which is here. So we have got, as you can see, it is there. And it is held on with a nut there and a nut there. So I need to take those out, and then hopefully I can manipulate it out enough to unplug it and put the new one in. Now this I may struggle to show for your unadulterated viewing pleasure, but I will attempt to show it at least a bit, so you get the gist of what I'm doing. So if I take this nut off here, without dropping it, which I probably will drop it, there's loads of vac lines in the way, which is also quite useful. There's one nut. And there's another nut. And I'm hoping that the unit will sort of come off there without taking that water pipe off, because I don't really want to take that water pipe off if I can avoid it. I take this unit and pull it off the studs. And now we've taken that off, we can move this around. When I've pulled it off, there is a stud there which it goes on, it just about reaches off. Now it is still plugged in, so I need to get my hands to somewhere where I can get to the back of it, to the electrical connector. I'm probably going to need both hands for this. So I'll put it back on tripod while I struggle and swear at it. And then hopefully it'll fit out. I'm hoping not to have to take this off, but I might have to take this off, which will give me a lot more room. Now it's not a big deal taking it off and bleeding it back up again, but what I don't want to do is take it off, put it back together, put it all back together, and it weeps coolant because it's not sealed. So I'm going to try and avoid that. And something I would recommend, before you take the bolts out, I've had to hook it back onto the studs for this. But this electrical connector, if you get like something like that, you can just put it between the tabs on each side, and then you can push it out like that. Now obviously I've done this before, I pulled the camera out to film it to make it easier, but yeah, it wasn't actually hard to do that way. So now I've just got the other one to take off, which is a bit of a twat. And that's pretty much the same again. So if you put your hand down here, you can get onto it and then squeeze the tabs, and then you probably won't be able to pull it off by doing that. What I did was, I squeezed the tabs, and as I was squeezing the tabs, I just pushed the connector off with that. So now it's unplugged and I've just got to fish the shitter out. Yes. And getting that out was like a Chinese puzzle, so I assume that getting the new one in is also going to be like a Chinese puzzle. Actually, it seems to be going easy and the other one come out, but I don't want to speak too soon because it's going to get stuck. Yes. So now I just need to plug the plugs back in, which, in all honesty, plugging the plugs back in wasn't much easier than taking them out. They don't really want to line up that easy, and you've got to reach underneath it. I didn't bother filming it because you can't see anything. It's a waste of time filming it, but I'll explain what you've got to do. You've got to put that there, which is feeds in from up here, right, and then you have to plug the plugs in from underneath. So then you've got to put your hand under here and then just feel your way in with them. Like I said, me filming it and showing it will not help you in this situation because you just got to do it by, well, feel and common sense really. So anyway, that is now installed. So now it is time to put the manifold back on, which we just carefully feed underneath here so it's more or less in the right place. And then, of course, not forgetting to plug the swirl flap actuator, which doesn't do anything because the swirl flaps are disabled, so that's disabled, but we've got to plug it in anyway. And then we can, in fact, hold this down. Well, I can't because my tools seem to have gone walkabout, so I'm just going to do what I can do without the tools required to bolt it down. So we can put this back on here, this back on here, this goes back into here, this goes back on to here. And the observant, if you might have noticed that I've changed a couple of these back lines. Now, I will at some point probably change the other ones, but for now I'm just doing the ones that are under the manifold. So that's onto there. And then we have actually got a new grommet for there, but we've actually even got a new shitter. I'd say we've got a new sensor, but it doesn't want to come out the plug. Yes. And this is the sensor in question. As you can see, genuine BMW parts only, which you can't open. And then to fit it, I need to put this, just pushes into there like so. Surprisingly easily, considering it's holding about, I don't know, over a bar of boost or something. And that pushes into there like so. And then that is installed, that new map sensor and grommet. And now I can, in fact, go ahead and tighten these bolts up. So I'll start with these 10 mil. The manifold is now bolted into place. Now I just need to bolt everything else to it that we took off, which is, there's a thing here, these, yeah, that needs putting back on. not forgetting this 8mm. But before you put this one in, tighten that up first so it's not straining it when you tighten it up, if that makes sense. And I actually almost forgot to put that back on, but that goes on to it. The third one from the end, it's only to hold the engine cover on anyway. So now we've got that on, we've got this to fasten back on, which has an M6 bolt which screws onto the back of the manifold. And you're just going to have to fumble about and feel where it goes really. Same as what I'm doing now. It's really good YouTube visuals. It's probably why nobody watches this stuff actually. Yes. Not forgetting the one that holds the dipstick tube and all this shit in place, which is around this sort of vicinity. Somewhere around here. There we go, got it. Yeah. Yes. And then we can hook all this back into there as it belongs. And that should be happy. Oh no, it won't, because I haven't put that on, have I? That's on now. It should be happy. And the one that I missed off was actually that one there, which fastens on behind the bolt which goes down the back of the manifold. So now, under here, it should just be a case of building all this back up, which you probably don't want to see any of that, and I can't bother filming any of that. So, yes, it's magically back together. So that should be it for this one. We've changed the heater plugs, we've changed the heater plug control module, and badly filmed all of it. And there is many videos on the subject that are better than this one. So if you stayed with this one to the end, then well done. Anyway, like I said, that is pretty much it for this one. There will be codes that need resetting to use the diagnostics for, but we'll sort that out. Well, I'll let my dad sort that out, it's his car. So yeah, see you, bye.